Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to a new series or a new semi-series or a new sub-series of the Cookie Jar Golf podcast.
I just call it a different flavour.
It's just basically, it's going to be the same thing as the Cookie Jar Golf podcast, but it's going to be little micro pods, the cookie crumbs, some would say. I am Tom Mills, and today I'm only joined by Sam Williams.
Greetings, Thomas. How are we
Hello,
doing?
Sam.
You all right?
Yeah, good, mate.
So just introducing this concept, I guess we constantly talk about some of the golf courses we play, but feel like we're shoehorning it into pods. So doing a few little micro pods talking about some of the courses we've played on our travels, I thought would be quite interesting. And on Monday, I managed to drag you up to Painswick.
Now, Monday's a pretty arbitrary term when you listen to this podcast at any point in time in the future. So a few days ago, we played Painswick, which I was convinced was Minchinhampton for like literally 4 hours. I was convinced we were going to Minchinhampton. Are they even close to each other?
They're Gloucestershire courses, all very popular with the kind of woke golf course architecture brigade. But I'd seen so many pictures of Painswick. I was super excited to go and see it. Obviously, you know, we have a massive fondness, don't we, for Cleve? But I think also, bit of context here, Monday the 19th of July was a cripplingly hot day in Britain. So the idea that we could sit in a car for 50 minutes with air conditioning was
felt like a little holiday.
I was so up for that. So yeah, I guess kind of maybe just talk a little bit about Painswick and experiences. Going into that with a £17.50 green fee, I think I'd done a little bit more due diligence than you. What were you
Considering
expecting?
I didn't know where we were going, yeah, I think you've done a little bit more than me. Well, friend of the pod, Simon Haynes, world-renowned nerd.
World-renowned nerd, I'd say if you want black and white pictures of bunkers, he's your guy.
Yeah, he's a full-on golf nose like the rest of us, and he like raves about Painswick. So it was on our bucket. It was on our hit list for a while, wasn't it? So we got a warm evening and went down there. I suppose we should start a little bit about the backgrounds of Painswick, I suppose. I mean, I'm not the most well-versed person about Painswick, but David Brown.
I'm not going to pretend to have done loads of research, but I do know it was really accredited to David Brown. So David, famous from our Musselburgh film, was pulled off a roof and won the Open Championship, having been given a bath and put into a fresh suit. And I know he was also working as a professional down at Cleve Hill. So given the proximity of the two courses, the fact they kind of all occupy different parts of the Cotswold escarpment, he's kind of accredited with the design. I didn't know an awful lot more about that. I knew that it was a relatively short course. Driving down, I think we had a little look at the scorecard. 4,800 yards, par 67.
To steal a line from our Cullen film, one could be forgiven for thinking 59 watch is on the cards. Well, I can tell you, it's absolutely not. 89 watch might be on the cards, but not 59 watch. It was a blisteringly difficult golf course.
What was the takeaway? What was your thoughts going into it? Like, because coming away from it, what were the kind of
there
big
are some
things?
huge similarities to Cleve, and there are some enormous differences to Cleve. So, I mean, that whole stretch of golf up there is still so raw. Like, it's not in any way, shape, or form USGA. It's not as raw as Cleve. It's not maintained by sheep. It's got proper green staff, and it's just still very raw and basic. And you go there and you think, you know, you can imagine how golf was. They've got the breathtaking views around there. I mean, the views are sensational. But, you know, if you built a course now, you know, I think someone would say, oh, should we put the clubhouse near the top somewhere?
Yeah.
But David Brown, and in all of his knowledge, starts the golf course down at the bottom, at the lowest point you could possibly be. So, like, for 6 holes, I mean, getting up that hill is...
It's a great experience. I mean, it's a bit of a cardiac hill up the first.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I kind of takeaways would be really, really small greens, like tiny greens. I thought the flags were huge when we were playing at them, and after a few, I realised actually the flags were normal size. It was the greens that were smaller.
just to add to that, I mean, I think the signature hole you'd say is the par 3 6th. Glorious golf hole.
Incredible golf hole.
Glorious golf hole. It's like 210.
I think we played it at.
Sort of downhill. It's really quite a tough little par 3.
Well, that's tough by any par 3 length, isn't it? But when the green's about 3 foot.
It was 8 yards wide. It's the smallest green in the world. And like, if you miss left, which I did, and I only missed by about 7-8 yards left of the green, it was dead. The rough management did not exist. But that's not why you're there. You know, you're not there for all that. It's just like, it is so much fun. But the greens are super small. I agree with you on that. They are literally tiny.
But I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think, we'll talk a little bit about the round, I'm sure, at some point. But halfway through, we managed to, we kind of picked up Ollie on our travels and said, look, he's obviously a local golfer. Do you mind if we joined him?
You're saying this like someone that understands. Ollie was a golfer who his T-shirt represented everything that was going on about Painswick, because the back, sort of the spine of his T-shirt was just drenched in sweat. It was so hot. And I think he was about to call it a day, and he was kind of sort of moseying around, and Sam got chatting to him, and he thankfully joined us and for the last 6 sols, maybe.
Yeah.
Just a local golfer, telling us about his journey in golf. He started pretty recently, and all-round top guy, teacher in the area, and £30 a month subs.
Just incredible. But
it's amazing.
And playing with him was pretty neat, but you kind of get... I thought the landforms of the course were pretty special. I thought all of that stuff is really memorable when you play it. I don't think... It's quite enjoyable, the fact that you've got all these funky slopes around the green. You've got to come up with all these different short shots around them. You're not going to hit 18 greens in regulation around there. Now, kind of the reason I brought Ollie up was because he told us very quickly that actually now they've got a second greenkeeper. So I think a guy used to maintain the course on his own, which if you've played Painswick, and if you haven't, you must go and play it. The land, to go and reach different parts of the course with any kind of equipment would be an undertaking in itself, let alone if you were the only greenkeeper. Yeah. So I think it's incredible. And the fact that they're small greens is brilliant, because that's exactly why you can get stupidly cheap green fees, really, because there's not the same cost that goes into looking after it. The ground, pretty springy.
Yeah, it was proper turf, wasn't it? I mean, it was proper... It's interesting because when we covered Cleve, they talk about it being linksy, and to many degrees, Painswick's the same. It's this sort of chalky turf. It's on that Cotswold stone. It looks, it's not. It drains amazingly. You can imagine it doesn't get wet in the winter at all, and it's just to get away with one greenkeeper is absolutely nuts. And they're like how far they've progressed the course with this second greenkeeper,
and he was in good condition. I mean, I think that's where there's a lot to be said for just having good land as a starting point.
I would say if you go to Painswick, I mean, I almost wouldn't bother with a scorecard, because the number that's on the scorecard is just so unrepresentative to the number that you and your playing partners will get.
Well, the first hole is 220 yards. We're driving down. I'm thinking, okay, it could be an iron. It could be a fairway wood.
Iron, yeah.
We're gonna get home here. Like this is a nice easy start. You're playing straight up an embankment to a blind green, and that's okay. And then you get to the top, and it's like, oh my god, there's all these ravines below the greens. It's like, that's awesome. Like, it's really cool. But it's a legitimate par 4. It's just very short. It's not an easy golf hole. The green is small. If you go past the pin, you've got one of those awkward little ledges.
So let's talk about this. So I'd say we're not super well versed in Gloucestershire golf, but there seems in the 2 courses that we've played in Gloucestershire, they've got a sort of unique little feature that I've only ever seen there, really, where the greens are obviously. They're all built on hills because it's all very hilly down there. You've got the Cotswolds. And they seem to have dug out a small section of the hill to flatten the green and then put that earth on the other side of the green to make it larger and flatter. So you get a drop onto the green, then it flats, and then a drop off the green, but
Yeah.
you get that quite a lot, and it's a really unique feature, I think.
I've not seen it
Cotswold
anywhere,
golf.
and then you go and play around the Cotswolds, and there's quite a bit of it.
Cleve Hill, lots of it.
I would say it's without doubt one of the biggest challenging
hard.
bits of terrain to get through, because you're basically playing off a ledge onto the green below, or chipping up from below a very steep ledge. There's no bunkers there at all, is there?
No, not the I saw.
But it shows how much you miss a bunker, because I think we were driving back. I was like, was there a bunker? I don't know. I don't think there was a bunker.
I just thought it was a ball striker because I haven't been in a bunker all day.
I didn't miss, though, having bunkers. Like, it just definitely didn't need it.
I think Cleve Hill probably has a couple of... And there's no apologies for comparing the two, because they are, I suppose, competing for the same audience in a way. They're not far away from each other. It's relatively cheap green fees. It's fairly rugged golf. Cleve Hill put in a few bunkers that I think happened by committee over time. I very much doubt they were there in the early days.
I think that's fair to assume.
And I don't think Painswick's any less for it. In fact, I think the course was harder for not having them, because in the places they would have put them, you can splash out onto the green and all that. But this had lots of runoffs, and you find yourself in tightly mown areas, and it was a little bit trickier for not having them, I think.
What were your favourite holes?
I mean, I'm always going to have a rose-tinted view on the back six, because I absolutely took you to shreds on the back six. But, I mean, the part of the signature hole, the sixth, it's a pretty good golf hole, pretty spectacular golf hole down the hill. And you can see it's almost sort of 360 degree views of the whole of Gloucestershire. So that hole's pretty impressive. But then there's two super sneaky short par threes, 115 yards.
Yeah.
Completely blind and up. Both of them are up 30 yards.
5 and 10.
Yeah. But holes 5 and 10. They go up, 30 yards up in the air. You can't see where it's going. And you're hitting sort of gap wedge into no idea where you're hitting it. And they're quite cool.
But they're seriously good fun golf holes, aren't they, actually? Like you play...
And they're all bowled, so it's not like penal, because the greens are bowled.
Yeah.
So
it all feeds back down.
All you got to do is get it in the vicinity, and you won't be far away. So that's quite cool. It's just asking you whether you can get the ball in the air.
Yeah, the par threes are pretty cool. I think I think there are some good par fours. I mean, we can't not talk about the second there.
The hardest golf hole in the history of the world.
I genuinely didn't know. Like, we played the first. I'm sweating bullets after getting up that hill. I've made a nice little four, chipped up, 2-putt, thought, okay, we're in the round here. Got the first hole against Tom. And you stand on the second tee. It's like, I think, what is it, about 320 yards, I want to say? Maybe 340?
Maybe 340, yeah.
Stroke 3. Okay. Looks tough, because I'm looking at a hog's back fairway here. I can't see anything past the stake, but the stake looks like it's 230 down there. So you're thinking... fairway wood, just get it in play. Get yourself
I just need
down
to add a
there.
touch of description. It's a hog's back fairway with a like a marker in the middle. It's OB left.
Yeah, death left. I mean,
I think it is off the course. OB left, and right is just
more ravines.
It's ravines and caverns and
30, 40 foot as well.
It's super
crazy
death.
steep.
Carry on.
Yeah, so then you get down there. You've got to play into a green. Obviously, you can kind of see the top part of the pin. Behind it, there's a little lollipop behind to kind of give you a bit of an aim point on where to go if you can't see the top of the pin. You then get a kind of this view of the ravine that then pinches all the way into the front of the green, doesn't it? It goes right across. So the fairway gets stupidly crazy narrow. Down the left, the tree line, which becomes a red hazard because it drops off into another gorge, becomes visible. And then when you get down to the green, you realise it's about 10 paces long.
And it's a front to back.
Front to back.
Front to back.
It's genuinely one of the hardest and most terrifying golf holes I've ever played.
It is solid.
Great fun.
I've smoked a 5-wood up there, and I've just got I've probably the best tee shot hit all day, and I've got a 9-iron in. But when you're looking at 9-iron with his red left, red long, caves right, short is the narrowest fairway in the world. Yeah, it was a fairly intimidating approach shot. David Brown was a sadist.
We've got to talk about the match, unfortunately.
But we can go through some more holes first. I think if you was playing Painswick, and if I were to give anyone some advice about Painswick, do not go there thinking you are any way capable of bullying this golf course. Hit the ball where you can see. And I think so often we were like, okay, well, it's 260 down there, so I can just knob a drive down there. But in reality, you could do 6-iron wedges and just
you really
respect
didn't
the
need
golf
anything
course.
more than I don't think, because there's 2 par 5s that play alongside. I mean, it's a shared fairway, but it's really the same fairway. You know, you almost play down the throats of the group in front of you as they're coming back up 9. Those are the only long holes on the course. I would say neither are really legitimate. We played off the backs. I don't think 8 or 9 is really reachable in 2. It's if it's reachable, it's not the play. And the par 4s are all definitely reachable for most golfers
8
with a 9 off the tee.
downhill, and then 9 comes back up, like you say, the same fairway. So,
but it made us look stupid, didn't it? Because, you know, there was a couple of holes, once you got through, you know, 1 and then the mind-bendingly difficult second, you play 2 really good par 4s back to back. You play, you know, the third, you've got kind of like this huge quarry works off to the right of you. You play downhill, the green's just winking at you from the tee, isn't it? Nice elevated tee
280
position.
something.
280, it's like... So I don't know why as golfers you have that little buzzer in your head that goes, I've got to go for it. It's in range. I cannot possibly lay up. So we all try and lump drivers down there. The same repeats itself on the 4th, which is like 290 uphill. So clearly not the play.
Yeah, both of those holes, by the way, so they're both sort of 280, 290. Both have got, like you say, greens that are just basically...
I like placemats.
Giving you the eye and going like, come on then. And the left, you're playing towards this green that if you go left of it, kicks to OB, so it's dead. And the whole fairway runs to OB. And exactly the same thing happens on the 4th in reverse. You just go up to the right and you're playing towards, that's red staked, but you're playing up towards red staked, and you got to hit basically the eye of a needle from 290. And we all, I don't know why we all think we can do it.
Fair, didn't it? Fully suckered us in. And, you know, if the hole was longer, we probably wouldn't have played those shots. And I think that's why there's a lot to be said for it. And it genuinely made us look like morons for a few holes, because I think in the first 14 holes, we were pretty much, you know, we were really outdoing on about 5 holes. I'd kind of arrogantly got out of the car and said, probably I'm going to need a couple of golf balls, grab a fistful of tee pegs, will be all good. And yeah, I like playing it again. I would show an infinite amount more respect to par around there. I think... Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put it out there and say we both played it with too much arrogance. Yeah.
I think like the first, you would be very well, we talked about this first 220, you would be very well served to hit an 8-iron up the hill and just chip on.
Well, Ollie came out with a statement, didn't he? On his way back, he was like, when it gets summery and really hot and the ground gets burnt out, what did he say?
He said some of the old boys can't get to the top of the hill, so they hit the ball up the hill, and it doesn't reach the top and just rolls back to their feet.
Because the hill's like about 140, 150 yards to ascend. I think before you get anything like being on level ground. Now, I know old boys that aren't going to advance a tee shot more than 140 yards uphill. I can think of a handful of members at Blackwell that I don't think would get off the first tee in that instance.
Yeah, if it was burnt out, it's insane. Speaking of tees, you mentioned a fistful of tees. Probably the only course in the world which is, it's kind of like the kryptonite to the Western Birch.
Yeah, I mean, our tee pegs, as our customers and people who are proudly rocking them around the fairways will attest to, they literally do not break. I mean, the one I picked up the other week on the fairways was a Blackwell, was beaten to within an inch of its life, but the shank of the tee just clearly would not snap. These things, we're going through them like mad.
I didn't even have to hit a shot. Just put it in the ground. It's
put it in the ground. It's like gone. I don't know whether that's some sort of like, you know,
I'm assuming
divine intervention
the
or David Brown sort of, you know, was thinking well ahead of his years. But yeah, it was nuts, absolutely nuts. But I think, you know, we talked a bit about the front nine there. I think it'd be remiss not to talk about. You know, some of that stuff as well on the closing stretch, which is just really good fun, isn't it?
I think we need to address the elephant in the room, which was we picked up Ollie just before the 13th.
Lovely lad.
14th.
Lovely lad.
Yeah, and he said, well, the next hole's a par 3, and went to walk down to the yellow tees, and Sam goes, no, I'm not doing that. We're going to play off the white.
It wasn't quite what I said, to be fair.
I'm just teasing.
I could see him walking down the hill, and I just went, where's the white solid? And he was like, oh yeah, we go off these at the back. And I was like,
yeah. So the white was a 250, but we've been speaking about this rather impressive elevation uphill, and obviously at some point you got to go downhill, and it was this hole. So there's 250, but it was so downhill, it's unbelievable. So I take a 4-iron, and it's still going over the green. It was a little bit left, but it's still going over the green by the time it went out of bounds. So Sam hits a 6-iron to basically the green.
Yeah.
And he's just walking up, just hit 250 yards, 6 iron.
as banter. But yeah, I was so proud of myself, and I thought, yeah, great. We've he was a great guy. I thought, brilliant. We've got someone new we've met here. We're going to have 6 or 7 good golf holes with him, and this guy now immediately thinks I'm a ball striker. I thought, we are right in the pound seats here.
The Gary Cottrells.
And then, as we kind of crept in, I think it was the next hole, flushed 2 irons into about 8 feet, just missed
That
it
was
for
a sense.
30.
We play it sensibly. 5 iron, 5 iron.
Yeah, and then you go on to, is it the 14th then, where you stand up again on the elevated tee? Because it kind of plays very similar to a traditional links, doesn't it?
Very much
again,
out and back.
Out and back. Again, back to the fact that, in those days, it really was play out as long as you want to go and then turn for home when you're ready, rather than needing to have different loops and iron. And, you get to the top of this elevated tee between the second and the third, and you play over the most gorgeous ravine, don't you?
Yeah.
We all hit absolute rattlesnake hooks off the tee.
Can we just tell the stage of the match at this point? So,
okay, yeah. So I've just given you... No, I hadn't... Yeah, I just given you a putt on the last and said, I'm still like 3 up, aren't I?
You were 3 up.
3 up, 5 to play. We've all hit rattlesnake hooks down 14. Ollie's like, you're going to find that. And we're like, there's no way that's being found again. And he was right, to be fair. There was an unbelievable amount of room out left. I kind of got some... Yeah, I mean, you made a great 4 and a bit of clutter sort of crept in on my short game by that point.
2 down.
Yeah, 2 down. Great par 3.
Yes, the par
15.
3. So we've been playing blind, short, uphill par 3s. This was a short, blind, downhill par 3. It's 155 on the card, but I mean, you just hit wedge is all it needs. It's so downhill, and you can't see anything where you're going.
Yeah.
Ollie's giving it the, those trees are out of bounds, but if you aim towards those trees, that's okay. I was like,
they overhang, it'll drop the ball down.
No,
and actually, you went well left of the flag, kicks in, and it's just so, it's such an overused cliche in golf. It's one of those courses you need to know your way around. The same could apply for every single golf course on the planet. It definitely applies.
It matters more when you can't see the green.
Totally. There's so many times where you've just got to play away from the pin or play away from the golf hole because of the turf it's on and the amount of kind of Cotswold stone underneath, and it's really firm and it's really fast. So you can actually just run the life out the golf ball. You won't get any backspin, and that's a class example.
Yeah.
Just flick wedge, just go 15 yards left. Everything will feed in. But a lovely little punch bowl green.
But that's what you want from a blind shot. Like, you want a punch bowl green, so it gives you the opportunity of getting a par at least, which is what he gives you. He doesn't make the green silly. If you can't see the green, he tends to make it a nice green, like an easy to access green.
16's great hole, but it's like basically playing down a ski slope for the last 100 yards.
I won 15 as
you
well.
won 15.
So that's
you won
down.
16 as well, so you got it all square. So 16, another good golf hole. Yeah, again, just landforms. All you can say about Painswick is just landforms are just insane. And it's like playing down a ski slope when you get down to the green, isn't it? 17, really good golf hole, actually. 17, to be fair.
Sneaky good golf hole.
Sneaky good.
It's you play across basically 2 public roads, and there's Ollie goes and checks on this little ladder thing, and I was like, mate, the group in front of miles ahead, there's no need to worry about those. He's like, no, I'm looking for cars. So you check to see where the cars are driving up and down the road, and Ollie gives it. Yeah, there's a local rule here that if the ball rolls down the road, bear in mind we're on top of a mountain, because if it rolls down the road and you both agree it rolls down the road, you can just take a drop in the drop zone, which I thought was incredible.
It was absolutely absurd, and it was a really good golf hole. Actually,
but it's almost it struck me a little bit of like the Carnoustie 17th, because it had a little island in between the roads. You've got to hit to this island. You can't go beyond.
You can't hit anything more than 180.
No.
And you've still got a full second shot.
Like, if you hit more than 180, you are down the road and
definitely
an OB. So it's like,
and everything
it's a big
runs away from
left,
you.
really.
You don't really want to hit, even if you got a 5 iron in your hand, you don't want to hit a little cutty shot there.
Otherwise,
that's off
you're
the
in
bottom
somebody's
groove.
house.
Yeah. So, and then you close with a very nice little par 3 18th, just in front of the.
I'd birdied 17.
Yeah. No, you want to keep getting back to the
I birdied
match.
17 to go 1 up after 3 down. That was nice.
And then closed it out with a
par
absolute stock 9 iron in front of
a baying crowd.
It wasn't quite a baying crowd, was
no,
it?
it was absolutely dead. But it is in front of the clubhouse, a glorious clubhouse it is too.
Yeah.
And you can imagine on a nice summer's evening when there's not COVID, that can be packed out and loads of people drinking out in that balcony, watching people come down 18. It's
so we said we'd keep this short. Kind of hope people have enjoyed that. I think kind of quick rapid fire. What would you kind of say to people going to Painswick?
Definitely go. Lose your expectations. Don't worry about your score, and just play match play. Do not play stroke play. And
take a bottle of water as well.
That thing
is a proper hike. For 4,800, I would say it's a proper leg workout as well.
Yeah, it's a serious golf course. It's very, very good fun, and it definitely one you should tick off your list. I actually came away from it, if I'm perfectly honest, going, yeah, I love that. I probably wouldn't go back. And the more I've sat on it and reflected on it, I actually want to go back quickly.
Bit of a grower. That's how I felt. I was, because it is, I think, gimmicky is a harsh word. It's really tricked up.
Yeah.
It's really, really tricked up.
I'd like to have another crack at it.
Severity everywhere. And I think, yeah, exactly. If a course has got you after 48 hours of thinking, like the fact we're sat here going, I'm so annoyed I didn't hit those shots, that's a good thing. Rather than thinking, I wish I'd have hit those shots better.
Yeah.
We're actually thinking, I just wish I'd have played different shots out there. And I think that's variety.
Yeah, we were coming off 30 degrees, no water, nearly, having died out there.
But we had to make a decision, didn't we, between take the drone,
so the drone or take water.
Content's king.
Thing with blades won. That's why Bruce always wins. But no, it's. I want to go back. I want to go back quickly. So I suppose that's probably the most accolade I can give any course, really.
Good stuff. Well, a bit of a new idea, a bit of a new segment maybe for the pod. If you liked it, get in touch, and we kind of. We might do a few more of these things. It's nice to do a little local field trip somewhere on our doorstep. We live in the middle of England. There's so much good golf out there to be had. And we just thought we'd record a short pod for today. Without further ado,
adios. Never get to say adios.
Watch this.